Hello everyone, welcome to the class Bio with Alifa. Today's topic is respiration. Respiration is defined as it is a process of releasing energy from food. It's called as respiration. Actually, children get confused between breathing and respiration. They think that breathing and respiration are same, but actually breathing is the part of respiration. When breathing occurs, only that after that respiration is possible. How? Breathing is simply defined as inhaling and exhaling of gases. Means when we inhale oxygen and evolve or pass out CO2, exhale CO2, this process simply is called as breathing. The food which is present in our body, when oxygen will come, this food break down into simpler unit and ready for digestion, or we can say transfer to different parts of the body. Now, food has reached to different parts of the body. Now, what are the function of this food? What are the function of this simplest unit of this food? Because now in our body, food is present in simplest form after respiration, right? Because food has been broken down and it is ready for digestion. It is used to get energy for various life processes. Means the simplest unit of food is present in our body. Now it is important to maintain the various life processes like circulation, excretion, reproduction. Okay, without food, without energy, we can't do any work. Second important function of this digested food, it is used for, or we can say assimilated food, it is used for growth of the body and for the repair of cells and tissues. As we have heard from our childhood that our mother gives nutrients in the form of protein, carbohydrate, fat, right? Why our mother gave different types of nutrient? For the growth of the body, right? Otherwise the growth will be suffered, right? So we can say the assimilated food is used to get energy for various life processes, or we can say to maintain different life processes, and it is used for the growth of the body, for the repair of cells and tissues. Now, what is the equation of this definition of respiration? The equation will be when food is present in our body, oxygen will come from breathing, then this food will break down into carbon dioxide, water and large amount of energy, right? The food which is present in our body in the presence of oxygen which is coming from breathing is break down into carbon dioxide, water and large amount of energy. This is very simple. Okay, now the question is where this respiration takes place in our body, right? This respiration takes place in each and every cell of the body, right? That's why it is called as cellular respiration. Okay, respiration takes place in each and every cells of the body. That's why it is called as cellular respiration, right? And as we have already studied different types of organelles present in the cell, one of the most important organelle which is called as powerhouse of that cell is called as mitochondria, is playing very important role over here, right? Mitochondria plays very important role in case of respiration, or especially we can say in case of cellular respiration. I'm using the term cellular respiration again and again because this cellular respiration is occurring in mitochondria, right? In the cell mitochondria is present and the cellular respiration is occurring in the mitochondria. How the energy will be stored, right? Now food is assimilated, food has been broken down into simpler unit and energy has been released into a large amount. How this energy will be stored in the body? Actually, in our body, respiration takes place in each and every cell, as I have explained earlier also. And in the cell, mitochondria is present. In the mitochondria, energy rich currency called ATP. The full form of ATP is adenosine triphosphate. In mitochondria, energy rich currency called as adenosine triphosphate is present, and the function of this adenosine triphosphate is used to store energy. Right? Actually, in mitochondria, ADP is present, adenosine diphosphate. Okay, when energy is released from food after respiration, then with the ADP, inorganic phosphate combines in the presence of this large amount of energy which is coming from respiration, and ADP converting into ATP. ADP is converting into ATP, and this ATP is equivalent to 30.5 kilojoule per mole. Okay, this ATP which is coming from cellular respiration, or we can say the energy which is stored after one cellular respiration, is equivalent to 30.5 kilojoule per mole, means 1 ATP is equal to 30.5 kilojoule per mole. In this form, energy is stored in our cell. Now, the next topic is types of respiration. Respiration actually classify, or we can say, are of two types: aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. The respiration which takes place in the presence of oxygen, and the respiration which takes place in the absence of oxygen is called as anaerobic respiration. Now first we will study aerobic respiration. The respiration which takes place in the presence of oxygen is called as aerobic respiration, and it occurs in, again, mitochondria. We can say it's a cellular respiration. Okay, this is also called as aerobic respiration, is also called as cellular respiration. It occurs in mitochondria. Now in our body, food is present in the form of glucose, right? In our body, different types of cycles occurs, like glycolysis, Krebs cycle, which we will study in the higher class, means in 11th class, or I will explain these both the cycle and other cycles also in my next video or upcoming videos. Okay, now one molecule of glucose break down into pyruvate. The end product of glycolysis, which occurs in the cytoplasm of the cell, is converting into pyruvate, or we can say the end product of the glycolysis is pyruvate. So we can say one molecule of glucose converting into pyruvate, which is 2 molecule, right? 2 molecule of pyruvate. This glycolysis, or we can say conversion of glucose into pyruvate, is occurring in cytoplasm part of the cell. Now pyruvate enters into Krebs cycle, which is occurring in the mitochondria part of the cell, right? We can say mitochondria, the organelle name which is present in the cell. So the pyruvate will enter into mitochondria, and this Krebs cycle will occur in the mitochondria. Now this pyruvate will break down into carbon dioxide, water, and large amount of energy, which I have explained earlier also, 38 ATP. Means at a time when one molecules of glucose we are taking in our body, one molecule of glucose will release 38 ATP at a time. How many ATP? 30 ATP at a time. 38 ATP, sorry, 38 ATP at a time. Okay. Now one molecule of glucose produces 38 molecules of ATP. Is it clear? Actually, this glycolysis, means conversion of glucose into pyruvate, is not a one-step process. It consists of number of steps. Similarly, conversion of pyruvate into carbon dioxide, water, and 38 ATP is also not a single step process. It also consists of number of steps. Okay, so here it is not possible to explain each and every step. This is a flow chart, a short flow chart according to the class 10th. Okay. Now again I am explaining the same topic, that one molecule of glucose converting into pyruvate, two molecule of pyruvate by the cycle called glycolysis. Now pyruvate enter into Krebs cycle in the mitochondria, and pyruvate break down into carbon dioxide, water and 38 ATP. This is called as aerobic respiration. 1 marks question can be asked from the aerobic respiration. Where the aerobic respiration occur? It occurs in the mitochondria. What are the end product of the aerobic respiration? They are carbon dioxide, water and 38 ATP. Okay. Now, next, anaerobic respiration. Actually, the respiration which takes place without oxygen is called as anaerobic respiration. And this anaerobic respiration again classify into two parts, fermentation and second is occurring in our muscles. Okay. This fermentation occurring in yeast, or we can say brewer industry. Its application is in the brewers industry, or we can say alcohol industry. Okay. So fermentation is defined as, when glucose break down into alcohol, water and very less amount of energy in the presence of yeast and in the absence of oxygen. Okay, is called as fermentation. Its application is in brewers industry or alcohol industry. Here the steps will remain same. Glucose is converting into pyruvate, and pyruvate, from here pyruvate to ethanol, or we can say alcohol, carbon dioxide and very less amount of energy. Here the steps are different. Okay, so again the process, here the steps will remain same. Glucose is converting into pyruvate, process called as glycolysis, but pyruvate in the absence of oxygen and in the presence of yeast converting into ethanol, its alcohol, carbon dioxide and two molecules of ATP which are very less, and this process is called as fermentation because it is occurring in the absence of oxygen and in the presence of yeast. Instead of carbon dioxide, water and 38 molecule of ATP, pyruvate is converting into ethanol, carbon dioxide and two molecules of ATP. Now, when anaerobic respiration occurs in our muscles, or we can say in our body, it is only possible after vigorous exercise. When we exercise, then in that case glucose break down into lactic acid. Instead of 38 molecules of ATP, glucose only produce 2 molecules of ATP in the absence of oxygen, because there is not completely absence of oxygen, there is scarcity of oxygen in our body after vigorous exercise. So here also steps will remain same till pyruvate, that glucose, 1 molecule of glucose is converting into 2 molecules of pyruvate by the process called glycolysis. And here pyruvate is converting into lactic acid and 2 molecules of ATP. Okay. Now due to accumulation of this lactic acid we get fatigue. Okay. Our muscles cramp due to accumulation of this lactic acid. So to get relief from these cramps and fatigueness, we take a hot water bath. Right, after exercise it is advisable to take a warm water bath, or do not take a cold water bath. Now again, when the oxygen requirements get fulfilled, okay, or scarcity of the oxygen gets we can say there is no scarcity of oxygen in the body, after that lactic acid again converting into glycogen. Lactic acid is again converting into glycogen, which is possible in the liver, or which is occurring in the liver. Okay, or we can say liver, only in the liver this lactic acid is converting into glycogen. The next topic is respiration in case of the plants. In case of the plants, gases diffuses inside and outside the plant by the process is called as diffusion. It is very important to know about diffusion, means what is diffusion. Diffusion is defined as it is a random movement of gaseous molecules from the area of higher concentration to the area of lower concentration of gases. This is the beaker. It has two parts, A and B. Here there is high concentration of O2 and on the side B there is less concentration of O2. So O2 will diffuse from side A to side B because inside A there is high concentration of oxygen and inside B there is less concentration of oxygen. Okay, so diffusion is a random movement of gaseous molecules from higher concentration to lower concentration. In case of the plant, respiration is possible during night. Okay, because during daytime photosynthesis occurs in plant and during daytime plants take carbon dioxide instead of oxygen for the photosynthesis. Plant respires through root, stem and leaves. We will study the respiration in case of the plants, or we can say in case of the plant through root, stem and leaves one by one. Now, respiration in roots. In case of the roots, roots are present in the soil and in the soil there is high concentration of O2. But the root hairs which are in contact with the soil, there is less concentration of oxygen. So oxygen will diffuse from soil to root hairs. Okay, and reverse of this process, because in case of the plant or in case of the roots there is high concentration of carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide will diffuse from root hair into the soil. Is it clear? Because in the root hair there is high concentration of carbon dioxide and in the soil there is less concentration of the carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide will diffuse from higher concentration to lower concentration and oxygen will diffuse from soil where there is a high concentration of oxygen to the root hair where there is a less concentration of oxygen. Now, next, respiration in case of the stem. In case of the stem, respiration is possible through stomata and through lenticels which are present on the bark of woody plants. Small pores, lenticels are small pores, and stomata are present on the stem of herbaceous plant. Okay, because you have studied that stomata are present in case of leaves, but in case of the herbaceous plant, stomata are present on their stem also. So again in the environment there is high concentration of oxygen. Oxygen will diffuse in the stomata, right? And similarly in the plant there is high concentration of carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide will diffuse in the environment through stomata. In this manner, respiration is possible in case of the stem. And the same process will be involved in case of the leaves also, where the stomata are present and there is diffusion occurs from higher to lower concentration through stomata. Right, the process will remain same. In the environment oxygen is present, then oxygen will diffuse inside the leaves through stomata, and reverse of this, inside the plant carbon dioxide is more, so carbon dioxide will diffuse out in the environment through stomata. As I have explained you earlier also, during daytime photosynthesis occurs, so plant needs carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide will diffuse inside the plant and will be used in photosynthesis, and in exchange plant evolve oxygen which is more during daytime, and it is diffuses outside the plants during daytime. And reverse of this, when no photosynthesis occurs in the plant will not take carbon dioxide. In that case, there is more carbon dioxide inside the plant because plants are not performing photosynthesis, and it is present as a waste material inside the plant during night. So plant will diffuses carbon dioxide in the environment and taking oxygen from environment okay. So it is not advisable to sleep under the tree during night time, because during night plants liberate carbon dioxide and taking oxygen, okay. Now the next topic is respiration in animals. In case of the animals, respiration occurs through lungs and through different organ, which we will study later on. But what are the different changes occur inside the body when we breathe in or when we inhale? Actually, after inhalation, when the oxygen enters inside the body, rib muscles contract and rib cage move upward and outward. The cavity in which lungs are present, its cavity increases and the volume of the lungs decreases. Diaphragm, the partition of thorax cavity, the diaphragm moves downward in case of the inhalation. But in case of the exhalation, when the air goes outside the body or carbon dioxide goes outside the body, rib muscles relax. Rib cage move inward and downward. Thorax cavity decreases. Volume of the lungs increases and diaphragm moves upward. Now, what are the different organs participate in respiration? When we take oxygen or when we inhale oxygen, this oxygen enters inside the body through nostrils. Then from nostrils, it comes to pharynx. From pharynx, it comes to trachea. Trachea is also called as windpipe. From windpipe, it will come to bronchi. These are called as bronchi. And from bronchi, it will come to bronchioles. Similarly, when the carbon dioxide concentration is more in the body, then carbon dioxide will diffuse outside the body from bronchioles to bronchi, bronchi to trachea, trachea to pharynx, and from nostril it comes outside the body. Lungs are present in the thorax cavity and protected by rib cage. Over lungs, rib cage is present. They are protected inside the rib cage. And the membrane which is present outside the lungs is called as pleural membrane. Trachea does not collapse even in the absence of oxygen because it has rings which are made up of cartilage. Nostrils have fine hairs and mucus which trap the dust particles so that clean air should go inside. And the structural unit through on which exchange of gases takes place on the surface of the lungs is called as bronchioles. Is it clear? The smallest unit through which exchange of gases takes place on the surface of the lungs is called as bronchioles, which are teeny balloon-like structure present, and there are millions in number which are present on the surface of the lungs. Now, how respiration occurs in different animals. In case of the amoeba, which is a unicellular organism and it is not made up of different body parts, it does not have different body parts, then how respiration occurs on the how respiration occurs in amoeba? It occurs through general body surface by the process called as diffusion. That exchange of gases takes place through general body surface only. In case of the earthworm present in the soil and in case of the moist soil we can say. So in case of the earthworm, exchange of gases occurs through moist skin. In case of the fish, prawns, mussels, it occurs through gills. In case of the aquatic animals, we can say fish, prawns, mussels. In case of the insects like cockroach, grasshopper, housefly, it occurs through trachea and through spiracle. Spiracles are tiny pores. Okay, so it takes place through trachea and spiracles. In case of the human beings, in case of the lizard, in case of the frog, and in case of the birds, it occurs through lungs. Right? We are the most advanced and evolved animals. Right? So, in our body, exchange of gases and respiration occurs through lungs. Now, please subscribe and like my channel, and please stay connected with me for my next video.